What is up everyone and welcome to certainly a very exciting video. Today we're taking a massive leap with the PowerHack G4 project. We're actually starting to physically do something. So unboxing and testing the G4s is all well and good, but as you guys can see, this is still a stock G4 Quicksilver. This is G4 number 1. And today we're going to strip it all out, ready to begin the work that we need to do to this case to get the PowerHack G4 ready for all its brand new awesome components. So without a doubt, this is extremely exciting. Let's get straight to it. So at the moment I have three things to help me out. I have number one, of course, a Phillips screwdriver. This is my big Phillips screwdriver. I have the normal Phillips screwdriver that you guys normally see, which is the orange one, but I can't find that at the moment, but the grey one will do fine. I have the multi-Allen key set, because there are various things that are held in this case with Allen keys, but I'm not sure which size. I also have the snips for cutting through cable ties and various things like that, just in case. And I have a ice cream pot. More specifically, this is vanilla flavoured Swedish glacé, which is a very nice ice cream, especially if you're dairy intolerant like me. So, that is awesome. That is somewhere to keep all the screws. I could do something smaller with compartments, but, you know, time is money, as they say. So, what we're going to do is dive right in. I'm going to put the pot next to the G4, and we're going to start taking this guy apart. So, I am what can only be described as extremely excited right now. So to take this apart, guys, we need to literally take everything out of this case. So I've got about 40 minutes until my dinner is ready. Well, actually about half an hour by now probably. So there's the graphics card out, off to a good start. And I'm extremely hungry, so hopefully I'm not too hungry to do this, because I do get a little bit grumpy when I'm hungry. I've actually... What's happened here, guys? There we go. I've got the Wi-Fi card out of the way. And of course, because I'm going to be using a new back panel, I'm just going to take off all of these slot covers. I don't think you need to do that. I'm not 100% sure, but we will soon find out. Now, one thing that I have no idea, guys, is do we have to take off the processor in order to remove the motherboard? There may be screws underneath the processor heatsink itself. So, wow, there goes that thing. That just came straight out. I don't quite know why that did that, but there it is. I'll tuck that back under the board for now. That was weird. Okay, cool. So that's all the slot covers out of the way and all the screws. Let's put all those in there. We might as well leave the RAM in place, guys. There's no harm in that. But one thing we do need to take out is the hard drives. So we've got this very short, funky little IDE cable that you hook two drives up to. And of course, the Molex connections. That's those out the way. And then we have this single screw. I've always liked this design, guys, even though it can be a little tricky to install drives sometimes. It was very tricky in my old Quicksilver. The screw didn't line up properly for some reason. I'm going to put that screw on top of the case for now, which is probably a bad idea. And there are the two hard drives, which is cool. So we'll put those there, along with some of the other components. Let's get the optical drive bay out. I believe there are two screws holding this in. This is all of the easy part, guys. And by easy, I mean the stuff that I already know how to do. One screw in there, and then there's one screw under here, which holds the optical drive and zip drive assembly to the frame itself, to the chassis. Let's do that, and then... Ah no, there's one more screw, the top screw. Forgot about this famous one. This also holds... Oh, there's two more, guys, sorry. I'm used to the two on the MDD. There's these ones up here. I believe my Quicksilver was missing some of these. Or I lost them probably, I'm not too sure. Because I replaced the optical drive a couple of times in there. Yeah, and this one back here. This used to give me a lot of trouble when I was younger. And I can see why, it's all the way back here. It's a bit of a nightmare. Must have been a bit of a nightmare to get back in. I know you guys can't really see, but it's not really important. It's just a screw right at the back, which I am still having trouble with to this day. Here she comes. Screwdriver isn't quite long enough. There it is. Got the screw. Nicely done. So now that comes out. Unplug the IDE, untake the IDE, unplug the Molex, which is always stubborn as hell. There we go, that is finally out, and there is the optical drive. Not sure if that's the original one, but it probably is. It's got the original tape on the back, as you guys can see. That is actually pretty cool. So anyway, let's put that to one side as well. Now then, let's start unplugging the power cables from the motherboard. So here is the main 20 pin, I believe this is, but I could be totally wrong. Here's a 4 pin, which is cool. This is the IDE cable coming from the optical drives. That goes actually underneath everything. It goes underneath this hard drive cover as well that we'll need to take out. This is the front panel connection. This is the case fan connection. And I believe, guys, that is the board completely free in terms of cabling, which is cool. So that means we can make a start on unscrewing the board. I think I'll unscrew the board before taking the power supply out, because we're at this camera angle now, and I think that'll make more sense. But in terms of taking the CPU off, really not sure if we have to do that, guys. So I'll just try and keep a close eye. We'll take all the screws out the board first and see if it comes out, because I'm not sure if you guys know this, but I don't recall ever taking a motherboard out of a G4 system. So this is pretty exciting. I've fiddled a lot with G4s, but only down to this level, never further. We may have to take out the modem card as well. I'm not too sure about that one, guys. Or that could just stay part of it, but the cable is going through the case. So I am actually going to take off the modem card to see what that does. I'm not sure if these two screws are holding it onto the motherboard or what, or whether it's still going to be connected. Ah, okay, it unclips straight away, that's cool. And there's also a little connection, because this is the little cable that's going to the back port probably. So that is the modem out of the way, that's cool. And that reveals, does that reveal any more motherboard screws? I don't think it does, guys. So I've taken a couple of screws out of the CPU card itself, guys, but I've also taken the two screws out of the back. So I believe this fan will just slide out of place now. And this may mean that we can take the heatsink out of the way, but I'm not too sure how this works. So this is the fan, and it gets unplugged from here. So that's the little CPU fan out of the way. Very dusty. It's actually easy to take these off, guys, so I reckon if you've got a Quicksilver, it might be worth taking this off and having a look at how dusty it is, because that is very dusty. But that's a dense little fan assembly there. You could probably change this fan as well. It's just screwed into this this little fan shroud here. I reckon that looks like maybe a 40, maybe smaller, maybe bigger, sorry, maybe 60mm fan that could be, I'm not too sure, but we'll put that to one side as well. So now there is a certain way, oh wow, and the dust is all caked up on the side of the heatsink because of that fan, guys. That is definitely worth taking a look at, because the heatsink path is almost completely blocked under that fan, so that's definitely worth having a look at. But now all I've got to do is try and find out how the CPU heatsink unclips and how all of this stuff works, because I'm not too sure how it comes off, guys. I'm not going to pretend as if I know. So I've got a special little close-up for you guys here. Turns out that these clips are just held in by force. So you just unclip them with a flathead screwdriver and the heatsink comes right off. This is quite a heavy heatsink. You've got these two little catches that go through it. So I'll put this over here and I'll put that there with that. And this reveals, guys, the G4 processor itself. So there it is in the middle. If you have a dual one, I guess there's two of these under there, but that is it. That is it in the flesh. That's the G4 processor. So let's unscrew, using the wrong screwdriver. Let's unscrew the 3 remaining screws. 1, 2, and 3, and this will give us, guys, of course, very excitingly, our G4, our G4 processor. there it is on its card. This is the only way you can buy them, guys, is on this Dotter card. So here it is. Wow, this is cool. This is an 800 megahertz G4, and this is what it is. I'm holding it in my hand. Everything else is just motherboard. So of course there are loads of little pins on this connector, but it doesn't appear to be too sensitive looking because it's got like a surround to it, so I think it would be quite hard to damage those. So I'll put the CPU to one side, and of course underneath there is quite a lot of dust, guys. Under there, it's definitely worth taking that off if you have a G4 to clear out all the dust and stuff. So I'll give you guys a wide angle again, and we will take a look at the rest of the motherboard removing process. So guys, some time has passed, and I've had dinner, and I've also discovered how to take out the motherboard. So you have these little sort of standoffs that screw through the motherboard, holding the board in, but not only holding the board in, supporting the processor card. Now, the cool thing is, the motherboard is loose. I haven't taken it out yet, that's totally loose. Now, one bad thing is, I thought this one came out as well, because you'd think that it would need to come out like the other three, but it actually stays put. It's not going through onto the motherboard tray. So I have actually, unfortunately, because I was trying to get it out with pliers like this, not those pliers actually, these pliers, I've actually, unfortunately, scraped the board a little bit. But I don't think it's going to affect anything. But one thing I am going to do is pop the processor back on and retest the board outside of the case. If I can do that, it'll make a fun little video anyway. That's before I sell this to anyone or whatever, just so I know that it's working, because I've scraped up the board a little bit and I'm gutted about that. Also, when removing the modem card, it looks as if I bent one of the airport pins, one of the airport card pins, but that doesn't matter. I'll be able to bend that back, hopefully, and I think it's still connected. It won't actually make a difference, it just looks quite bad. Also, if you're putting airport in one of these, the best thing to do is use a PCI Express lane so that you get a newer revision of airport, because this does not use Airport Express, it uses standard airport cards, as you guys know, which is just, you know, yeah, just standard airport. So, let's pull out the motherboard. Hopefully, it'll come straight out like so. And here we have it. This is my first time, I believe, removing a G4 motherboard, and here it is. It's quite a wide board. It's somewhere in between an ATX and a micro ATX. I'd definitely say it's closer to an ATX board in size, definitely actually. It's quite a big board, but there's not really a lot going on. If you look here, other than the RAM slots, the AGP slot, the PCI slots, the ports, the connection for the processor and the battery, airport and the IDE channels, and the power connections, and a couple of bits and bobs over here, a lot of it's actually quite blank compared to today's motherboards. There's quite a few things going on the back. It definitely does not look like your average ATX board, but what you got to remember is it's older, and it does have things like Firewire and stuff on board, and it's, yeah, this is your typical old Power Mac motherboard. So I'm going to keep this safe, obviously. We'll pop this over here, and now this becomes very exciting, guys. This is the cable going underneath that I chopped through for the 56K modem. So this is just taped in. And I plan on doing this with some of my cables in my PowerHack G4 build. Haven't thought extensively about it, so that's something I need to do, but that cable is ready for the bin along with the tape that was holding it in, because it was hardwired. I should have left that piece dangling rather than cut it, but you know, nobody needs a modem. One thing I am going to do, guys, is basically unscrew all of this stuff, I guess. I'm not too sure. I've already taken the Allen key connections out of the door off on camera, but I'm not too sure what I'm going to do about the latch system and stuff. So what I'll probably do is leave it in for now, and we'll focus on taking out the power supply and stuff. So time to take out the power supply, guys. This should be fairly easy. We have everything disconnected internally. I believe it's this size Allen key, and here we have it. Now I'm not sure if it's just these 4 screws. I'm really not too sure about that, but we will soon find out. Now I'm not sure if I'll be reusing the same Allen key screws to mount my ATX power supply. I don't think I will be, because I'm going to use the Laser Hive back panel. So we'll just keep taking this lot out. And of course, 4 screws later the power supply should slide out. I've just realised there's only 3 on it, guys, so let's see if it moves or if it's screwed in somewhere else. It's screwed in with one Phillips inside the case by the looks of it, guys. Don't know what the point of that is. Everything is very, very tightly secured in this case. And don't tell me there's another screw. Yeah, there's a screw at the top as well. 2 internal screws holding the PSU in. I am definitely ditching this part of the mount. I'll be cutting all of this out of the case. And that is in quite tight, guys. I know you can't see this, but truth be told, neither can I at the moment. So now, will the PSU come out now? Ah, guys, interesting observation, a noob move, but I'll show you what I've done. So here is the supply, guys, but unlike an ATX type of system, this entire mounting bracket is holding it in. So, looks like we've actually got to unscrew the bracket as a whole, which I'm actually not too sure about. But what I'm going to do is just keep pulling out screws and see what it does. I'm not following any kind of guide to take this system apart, guys, so this should not be taken as any kind of tutorial. But yeah, I'm still unsure as to how this works. And I know this is actually taking a bit of the fan apart as well now, so... But we're learning together, which is cool, unless you guys have previously taken apart a Quicksilver. I'm sure there's someone in the audience that has. Now I believe these 4 screws that I'm undoing are just taking out the fan, guys, because I can actually feel that the fan is now loose in there. But it may contribute in some kind of way. I don't think you have to take this out to take the PSU out, and no you don't. There is a screw back here. Let's just keep pulling at things and see what it does. I'm not sure if you have to take the other side panel out. I really doubt you have to do that to get the PSU out. And there is another screw up here. This one could be a bit of a pain to get out, guys, because this bracket is in the way. I'm going to pause the camera, guys, just to save a little bit of my battery and whatnot, because I don't have a full charge in the camera, and it's kind of boring seeing me figure this out anyway, so I'll try and figure it out off camera. So guys, this is actually, in my opinion, a pointless piece of metal. It just goes like that, screwing the PSU in, but it does provide support for the optical drive bay, and I guess more support for the PSU. So that thing is not going anywhere. It's very well built. So let's slide out the power supply. And of course, we will have to feed the cables back through this hole. Now, eyeballing it, I really hope they do come out of the hole. But I'll tell you one thing, guys. I changed a power supply in an MDD, and it was, well, much easier. Now, I have actually found, there's a little cable grip on the side of the system here. Hopefully this won't need to be cut, because that could be quite handy, and yeah, I think it's got a screw on it or something. So let's put the PSU back up there for a second and see what's going on here. Okay, there is. The cables are screwed to the case. Not to worry, let's remove this. Now I didn't need to unscrew the fan in order to get this lot off. So there we go, that is quite a cool sort of screw-on cable grommet type thing. That'll be very handy. I wonder if I can buy some more of those somewhere. So I've given you guys generally a wider shot, I think that'll be a bit better. Attempt number 2. And that is much more successful. Feeding all the cables out. Just trying to get comfy on the floor to do this, guys. And the fan is actually plugged directly into the PSU by the looks of it, guys. There's cabling coming out of the PSU and the fan is just plugged into it. Just standard. That's pretty cool. There we go, that's that unplugged. And of course, that is the PSU out. Finally, cool. So that is that. Let's move that to one side. And that leaves us with a very empty looking system, guys. Very empty indeed. So there are a couple, well, this one big IDE cable that I've got to get out. Hopefully we'll be able to do that successfully, but it is really tightly pinned up in there. We have a fan to take out, which comes out somehow, and yeah, then this G4 is nearly done. We've got a fan cable going down there. Actually no, this is the fan cable. Not sure what this is. This is power for something else, but it looks like the fan. It's going into the fan bay thing. This could be for the speaker, guys, this other little connection down here. Really no idea, but let's take out the other two hard drive caddies. Now, by standard, the Quicksilver can only support 2 hard drives in the traditional places down here, because that's how many IDE channels it has available to it. But as you can see, they give you a couple of singular hard drive caddies, not the double ones. The other one's a double one. They give you a couple of singles, just in case. And wow, I was not expecting that big chunk of metal under that. Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, of course, if you wanted to add drives in here, if there were SCSI drives, which a lot of people did, then you'd have a SCSI PCI card. And if they were IDE drives, then you'd have an IDE PCI card. Simple. So here we have the middle one. Now, at the end here, we have something going on, which is an extra bit of metal that appears to be completely attached. How is that attached then, guys? So for some reason, guys, this is screwed in from the bottom. Didn't even know this piece existed. I'm learning a lot about the Quicksilver. But once we unscrew this, we should hear it drop on the inside. And this case is now very light, considering, because it's empty. So this is actually all very exciting. I'm getting very excited. That's that screw. So now, when we flip the machine back over, open it up, this bit of metal does indeed come out, which is really cool. So let's get rid of these cables. I'm leaving this black clip in place. These are great. I'm actually going to run my cables through this original clip, which is going to be really cool, I think. But I'm not really sure how these IDE cables are attached. I think they've got very strong sticky pads under them, and I think you just need to yank them. Yeah, it's just sticky stuff, and it's been there for so many years that it's just not going anywhere. So it's just a case of yanking them up, guys, really. But a bit of persuasion with a flat screwdriver could really come in handy, I think. The case is actually getting so light that it's fairly difficult to work with now, because it's just moving all over the place. But there we go. Same thing here on the side, probably. There you have it, and of course, it's running through. There's another one of these black things under here. That's cool, hidden, and that is the optical drive IDE cable out of the way, and man, that is quite a long IDE cable, so let's move that to one side. Now all we've got to deal with is whatever this cable is. Yeah, this must be a speaker lead, guys, because it's going to the front. We'll deal with this, and we'll see how on earth we get the front panel connector board out of there, because that's what this ribbon cable is, and we're reusing some of that stuff. So this is starting to look very empty. What I'm going to do, guys, because these are just finishing little touches, I'm going to probably pause for now, carry on my own, and then give you an update when something significant happens. So everyone, that is this case completely empty. It's probably been about 10 minutes since I last gave you an update, so you can get an idea for how long it took me to figure that lot out. Basically, it wasn't as hard as I thought. There was another screw that I was missing underneath the fan thing, so that's the fan thing out the way. I've done the whole front panel as well, so the front panel is empty, as you guys can see. There is no cabling in this case at all. I've also replaced all of the Allen key side panel screws, because I'm not at the stage where I'm ready to strip the plastic yet, because there are so many screws and components. What I'm going to do is get all this lot organised first before I start stripping the plastic off the case, just so that I don't get things mixed up and whatnot. So I'm very happy with this stage. Every single physical component is out of the case. It is very light and easy to move about, so that's good, but it's still got a dense weight to it, you know. It's a very good quality case. So of course there's a lot of work left to do, but this has actually inspired me to continue with this project even more, guys, because I've seen how well built this case is, and just how easy it's going to be. Well, not easy, but how straightforward it's going to be to mod. So this little black thing here, I'm keeping this here because this, I believe, is going to be where I run my cables. I'm also going to I'm going to keep this airport thing here just because it, you know, looks in place, but I may take it off. I'm not too sure, guys. I believe that just unscrews, and actually, yeah, I'll take it off. It's sticking up a bit. It's going to get in the way. But it needs a clean out, as you guys can see. It's very dusty. The dust is gathered in all the places where the dust, you know, gathers because it's behind stuff and whatnot. But in terms of stuff that I'm putting back into the case, we have this cover for the speaker and the front panel. I hope that this will fit back in with all of the components that I choose to put in there, because that is a very cool piece of the case. It'll make things look very sleek at the front. Talking of the front, here's the front power and reset switch and front LED board that needs modification in order to work with the Hackintosh. Here is the front speaker that I'll be putting back in, obviously. Here's the fan. Obviously, I'll be putting a fan on the side panel there because it's an ideal place for one, even in a Hackintosh, because it's, you know, all pre-drilled and everything. But I'm not sure if I'll be putting the big metal fan cover back on. Some people do, some people don't in their Hackintoshes, so I'll be seeing what's best for me. Of course, I'll be drilling out this shelf completely, I think, or maybe just cutting it there and keeping this hook for the PSU, right, so the PSU isn't just held on by the screws at the back. I'm actually not too sure about that because that'll be plastic only at the back, I believe. I may chop the shelf there. We'll see how it goes, or I may keep the shelf in or chop it there or something so I can keep these cable routing holes. We'll basically see how it goes, guys. I'm not too sure about that yet. There's all sorts of different stuff. But of course, the motherboard tray needs modifying along with the back panel. They both need heavily modifying. And I also want to cut a 120mm fan cut out here because the plan is to have a radiator here. So I'll talk all about that more in the future. This has basically been stripping the case. But I'm going to put all these components packed away safely now, guys. And also make a pile of the components that will be going back into the system. So that's things like the dual hard drive caddy, the front panel thing, all those things. There's not actually that much going back in. It's the bare shell that I'll be using. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I am now certainly knackered, so I'm going to relax, sit back in my chair and relax rather, to edit this video. But boy, yeah, I am really knackered now. This is actually taking it out of me, surprisingly, guys, but I have been on the go all day doing various other things, so yeah, I'm very excited. Now, in terms of G4 number 2, which is sitting there, guys, I doubt I'm going to strip it out like this one, because there's just no real need. I believe the guts, I'll be using the case for, this will be the Hackintosh as it stands. I'll just change a couple of panels maybe. I haven't even looked at the panels properly yet, so I don't know. I may not need G4 number 2 at all, but we will soon see. So, huge thank you for watching, everyone. I'm not too sure when the next Power Hack G4 video will be, but hopefully it'll be soon. Hopefully I'll get some components arriving soon and we'll dig into it a little bit more, but there's a lot of case modification to do before we do anything with any new components, so that'll probably be the next stage. So huge thank you for watching, everyone, and as you can probably tell, this project is really getting underway. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, thumbs down if you didn't. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.